Fox News special counsel Jack Smith moves to drop Trump election interference case. President-elect Trump promised during the campaign to fire Smith within 2 seconds after taking office. Hear, hear. And then Jack Smith ordered by House GOP to preserve all documents related to Trump cases. So it's looking like these people are scared.
Yeah.
You know, Trump didn't need to even get into office, and Hamas is already calling for an end of the war. Jack Smith is already backing off. Judge Merchan is signaling he may get rid and dismiss these 34 charges against Donald Trump. That's it. This was clearly an attempt by Trump's political opponents to use the legal system to stop him from winning an election, and he won it.
There's an argument that I made the other day about the price of energy and how when you have someone like Trump in office, the price of energy might just start going down because the futures market, he'll signal to business that there's going to be fewer regulations, making it easier to do business. The futures market will respond to that, and actually the price of gas might actually go down because of it. And it's not just that's not exclusive to economic things. You see the behavior of other countries because he won the presidency. You see the behavior of Putin. You see the behavior of Hamas. You see that because Trump is coming into office, just like when that they're responding to Trump coming into office, just like when Reagan was coming into office, Iran responded.
Yep.
The idea that the United States lives in a vacuum and that the president, the president is of no consequence to other countries or to the economy or to anything else. The United States is the most consequential country in the world, without question, bar none. And so when the United States moves, the rest of the world responds every single time. You know, it's said that when the U.S. has a sneeze, the rest of the world gets a cold. And those kind of things are real. And this is an unmitigated positive thing that Donald Trump is coming in. There have been zero negative things happen in the world since, like,
I know, it's like
on the international scope or whatever, foreign policy scope, just because Donald Trump is going to be in office.
And then it's just things are gradually improving. That was a joke I made to Seamus. He should make a cartoon where Trump's walking through his inauguration and everything's just getting better and improving and people are getting richer and a guy's like, the war's over. Then he gets there and he's like, I guess my job's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing. People are going to respond to the pressure that they believe the Trump administration will put on them, or the lack of pressure that the Trump administration is perceived to be putting on their enemies, or will put on their enemies.
But take a look at this from Real Clear Politics. Voters anxious about democracy. Take a look. They asked people, democracy in the U.S. is very secure, somewhat threatened, very threatened. And among the very threatened cohort, they voted for Trump at a 4% edge.
Yep.
And so what does that tell you? The people in this country who think democracy is being threatened aren't concerned about January 6th. They're concerned about Jack Smith.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And for good reason. I mean, for good reason. It's honestly a smarter way of looking at it, right? Like, firstly, January 6th is nowhere near what they made it out to be. It was nowhere near as bad as the COVID riots and the 529 insurrection. But also, even if we wanted to claim that it was, like, the guy with the knife, or lack of a knife, but just the big, scary dude who threatens to rob you when you have $5 on you, seems like a more immediate threat. But, you know, when someone hacks your bank account and empties it, that's actually way worse for you overall. And I would say that's what Jack Smith represents as opposed to the J6ers. Though, of course, I don't actually give assent to the idea that that's what the J6ers are.
I think that the argument that Elon Musk made on the Joe Rogan podcast actually resonated with the American people. That the situation with immigration, with the HHS program, the Refugee Resettlement Program, it's being run by the Health and Human Services Department, transporting people that show up at the border and they say that they are looking for asylum. They bring them into the country. They transport them to purple states, and with the goal of those people becoming citizens and voting for Democrats. There's intent in that, and I think that the American people realized it. I think that the American people believe because of the influx, because everyone knows that there's way more, there's like 10 or whatever, 15 million illegals in the country in 4 years, which is just an astronomical number. And I think because of that, the American people were like, look, the additional people in the United States, they're going to dilute my vote. They're going to make my vote mean less. And you saw the things that were happening in small towns like in Ohio. And whether you think they were actually eating the dogs or eating the cats is totally irrelevant. It brought focus to those people that were suffering because of a massive influx. Their town, doubled in population, or maybe it was, I don't know the exact number, but it was a massive, massive increase that no small town could ever hope to support. And people saw that and they're like, yeah, this is a bad thing. The influx of people makes housing more expensive. The influx of people does not automatically make prices go down. So I think that the American people saw this as a threat to their ability to influence their representatives. And so that's the actual threat to democracy that they saw. And it wasn't Donald Trump's going to end democracy. It was the Democrats are using my tax money to dilute my voting ability and dilute the impact of my vote.
And to add on to that, these people don't even have to vote to have an electoral impact, because congressional seats are delegated by population based on the census. So these people, even if they don't vote, even if they never become citizens, will still have political power allocated as a result of them existing there. So
exactly.
Not that they won't eventually get citizenship, or in some cities they don't even require citizenship to engage in voting for their lower level seats.
I do wonder. I guess what most conservatives would say is that, especially when you look at those results, that Trump voters think that the threat to democracy was coming from the other end. Most conservatives would probably say that a lot of voters were concerned about the legal cases, and that was the threat against democracy, is the lawfare. Which is probably true, but I also wonder. I kind of think that all these criminal cases, that of course all this they weren't even really criminal cases. It was not about throwing. They weren't even trying to throw Trump in jail. I mean, they would have loved to put him in jail if they could, but that was like a secondary benefit.
Yeah,
it was really just about making a political case against Trump to stop him from being elected. And I sort of think that I don't think that it's. I think it had zero impact at all. I don't know if anybody was really thinking about that when they went to the polls. I think it's like it just had zero impact. It was a total non. Factor altogether, which maybe I'm wrong about that, but to me that's in some ways the most delicious kind of poetic justice, is if they went through all this effort with all the lawfare and it's like nobody cared at all. It might as well not. It made zero impact.
Yeah.
Because people were just so tuned out of the whole thing.
So I actually asked this to Knowles yesterday. Obviously, a lot of people went after Trump and the former Trump administration officials. For example, Steve Bannon. Do you believe the Trump administration moving forward should seek retribution to some people who have broken the law, Democrats who've attacked him, or kind of, be more conciliatory moving forward?
Oh, retribution.
And do you have anybody in mind in particular?
Well, the problem is that the list is so long. I don't know that you could start. And also in the federal government, the people that are, we opened the show with the FEMA thing. The people that are in a corrupt way wielding the power of the federal government in illegal and corrupt ways, we don't even know their names. And should Trump get in there and find these people and root them out, get to the core of it, and prosecute them and throw them in jail? Yes, if that's what we mean by retribution, yes, that's absolutely he needs to do that. And I wouldn't even call it retribution.
Exactly.
It's not even retribution. So because retribution makes it sound petty and personal and like he's only just concerned about the people that annoyed him or frustrated him. No, this is about finding the corrupt people, the people that are breaking the law, and holding them accountable. It's about justice, like giving people what they deserve. Well, and that's what it is to me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. When it comes to the lawfare against Donald Trump, too, obviously the left is projecting that's a clear-cut case of retribution. It doesn't have anything to do with an actual crime being committed. And I think part of the reason that the voters who seem to care about that the most were people who were worried about it rather than people who actually thought that the fact that he was a convicted felon carried any water is a product of the fact that, your average voter isn't all that interested in the abstractions, right? What they're concerned with, again, as we talked about earlier, is the price of butter. Not like, Did he fail to properly disclose a specific campaign expenditure, or did his lawyer, and was he aware of this at the time? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And especially when you consider the fact that the charges that were brought against him were a misdemeanor and then raised to the level of a felony, and then the statute of limitations was extended. It's just, I don't think people
It's
care.
so hard to keep track of all the cases against Trump. I'm not even 100% sure of this, but I think the Jack Smith was the classified documents case. There were so many cases against stuff. There was the January 6th stuff. There was the tax stuff in New York. I feel like I'm forgetting a couple.
Yeah,
what happened in Georgia again? There was just so many cases.
Yeah,
I don't know how the average American could pay attention and keep track of all
I don't
the
think they
cases.
did. I think he's right. A lot of that stuff just kind of became like in the fuzz or whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, most Americans were like, which case is that again? How many cases are there? Weren't even paying attention. And there was always also this weird messaging problem for Democrats when it came to this, because they were going around saying, oh, you're going to elect a convicted felon. Well, and leave aside the fact that what he was convicted of is totally bogus. These are the same people who for years have been telling us that just because someone has a past criminal history, that doesn't reflect on them at all. It's totally irrelevant. And we should be rehabilitating people, second chances, and all of that. So they should be celebrating that. I mean, if they really believe he's a convicted felon, this is a great story of redemption.
Exactly.
Is it not? I mean, by their own logic?
There's always arguments to be made that the left doesn't actually believe in hypocrisy at all. Like they'll use it against you if you allow them, but they don't actually believe in hypocrisy because they don't believe any of the arguments they make. Their only function is to attain power. So the arguments they make one day will switch the next as soon as they're no longer functional. So when people say stuff like that, I would just always be like, well, the founders were felons according to the Crown, so up yours.
Yeah, although the left, and that's the thing about it. We say most people think hypocrisy is saying one thing and doing another, and that's not actually what hypocrisy is. Hypocrisy is just pretending that you believe something you don't actually believe.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I mean, these people are hypocrites in the truest sense of the word.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.